it's Melissa. Happy Thursday. Today we are going to talk all about how and why and when you might want to use printable heat transfer paper, printable heat transfer vinyl for darks. Okay, so this is a very common question that I get about how you can do this. So one of the reasons that you may decide that you want to use printable heat transfer vinyl as opposed to regular heat transfer vinyl is the number of colors in your design. So for example, I am using a design that is like this, okay? So if I was to cut this and then layer on all this HTV, this is at least probably half a dozen colors. So that is going to not only require you to have all of those colors on hand, it's also going to take you a lot of time to cut them all and then layer them all, and then it's just a very time-consuming process. So you have a couple of options. One, if you have a sublimation printer, you can easily sublimate something like this. If you don't have a sublimation printer, you can use printable heat transfer material for darks, which is what I'm using today. I threw the links up top. You can get multi-packs of it. I think it's about $20 for 10 sheets. So it's not cheap. However, it's a lot cheaper than if you were to invest in a sublimation printer. You're just kind of trying to see. It also does allow you to use sublimation type designs that have all these, colors, which this doesn't have to be a sublimation, design. This could be anything for like a sticker. You could use it for vinyl. But again, with all of these colors, it's one of those things where I kind of max out at 3 colors when deciding what material I'm going to use, and 3 or so is about it for HTV. So darks present a different type of issue because ink doesn't show up on a dark material. So if you have a light color shirt, you are going to use something different than this. When you have a dark shirt, you actually need to you need to print and cut if you're using for dark. So one thing that I like to do, and I'm going to give you this little trick, is this design comes into Silhouette Studio as transparent. I put a border using the offset tool around the edge of it, fill it with black. Why do I fill it with black? Well, that way, one, it becomes a solid design and I can literally just pick it up and place it onto my shirt. The second thing is, when I put it on my shirt, it then looks transparent. Okay, so you're not really gonna see, or somebody looking at your shirt is not really going to notice that you have that you have printed black. Okay, now the problem that ends up occurring sometimes, as we all know with print and cut, is that you can end up, it's a white sheet. The printable Starcraft is a white sheet. So even though you're printing and then cutting, you may end up getting a small white border. So in order to avoid that, if you make your offset large enough and then make an internal offset of that in Silhouette Studio and cut inside of that, you basically create your own print bleed. And that way, even if your print and cut is off a tad bit, you end up with it being black instead of white. So it's not going to show up on a black shirt. So I printed this one ahead of time and cut it as an example to show you basically what not to do. I'm going I can't show you how to set this all up in Silhouette Studio. However, I do have a written blog post that I linked to for you so you could see that part of the process as well. However, what I did do is I'm ready to print it, and because my printer doesn't always like to cooperate, especially when we're on Facebook Live, I pre-printed it for us. So we'll see what works. And what you will see is that this is a thick border around there, a thick offset. And the way that I did that, as I said, was create the offset, fill with a black in Silhouette Studio. When I go to cut this, when I do the print and cut, you'll see why that really thick black offset is very important. Okay, so let's try at very least to print this. Like I said, my printer doesn't always cooperate with me. I already have a sheet in there. So I'm literally just printing from Silhouette Studio by going to File, Print. And I like to adjust my settings so that I use best quality, so that I get the best saturation and vibrancy of the ink. Is vibrancy? I don't know if vibrancy is a word. So let's send this and see at the very least if it's going to print. If not, that's why I pre-printed. I didn't cut it yet, but that's at least why I pre-printed it for you. So this requires your heat press to be at 350 degrees for 30 seconds. So you want to warm that up while you're working on this. Okay, so there's three parts to this. Obviously the Silhouette Studio part. I have a written tutorial for that. I linked to it. I linked to all of the supplies. Then you need to print and cut, and then you are going to press using your heat press. Now this is specific. Everything that I'm telling you is specific for when you're using printable heat transfer for darks. It's important because there's a different material that you're going to use for lights. With lights, you're not making what we made here, which is a transfer. You don't have to print and cut with lights, because what happens is when the image is printed on the Starcraft printable for lights, you then flip it onto your design heat press and pull it off, and the ink is transferred. You can't do that with darks because this ink is not going to show up on a dark shirt. Okay, so just keep that in mind. For the darks, you don't need to mirror your design in Silhouette Studio. Okay, so just keep that in mind as well. You're just going to print like you normally would. And I have here my sheet, print and cut. So you have these printable, you have your three registration marks. Someone is asking, can you use Easy Press? Yeah, you should be able to use an Easy Press for this as well. Okay, so I have two sheets here that we can work with. I have my shirt that I'm going to press onto, and first thing that we're going to do is cut this. So we have to print and cut this. So let me move some of this stuff off of my workspace. Okay, so I like to use a brayer. This is a fabric brayer, but I like to use it to get my materials to stick to my cutting mat securely. Okay, I actually think that I forgot to link the brayer, but I'll link that next. Okay, so you just roll it on here like this. All right, then I'm also using, as you can see, the 1 millimeter not craft blade. This is the 1 millimeter manual blade for the Cameo 4 machines. It's an alternative to the auto blade. I like it because I have a little bit of extra control, and we avoid the tapping of which is when you end up with a lot of problems. All of you are commenting on my overalls. Thank you very much. As I like to say to my kids, I am cool. I will link to the overalls as well. I appreciate all of you. They are Billabong brand, I think. I don't know. They were from Tilly's, but I ordered them on Amazon because they were out. They come in multiple colors. This is the first time I've worn them, so thank you all very much. Now back to our crafting. Okay, so you press your load button. It gives you about 5 seconds where you can load your machine with 2 hands, okay? And then on Silhouette Studio, sorry to lean across here, on Silhouette Studio, I'm going to send. Now, what I want you to see, what I want you to try to see here is I have this thick black border, but my machine is not going to cut the border. It's actually going to cut slightly in. So like in here, in this area. And the reason for that is so that if my print and cut is off, I at the very least, have some wiggle room because the edge will be black. I don't know, can you see that on my software where my cut line is inside? Hopefully you can see that. All right, all this stuff is gonna get stuck on my machine, so I need to make sure that I don't. All right, are we ready to cut? I think we're ready to cut here. Okay, so we're printing and cutting. I have my blade, for those of you gonna ask me for cut settings, blade depth of 2, force 14, speed 3. I could probably speed that up a bit, but just gonna leave it for now. Okay, so again, this is the Starcraft printable for darks, okay? And I linked to it. There's multiple packs. You can get packs of 10, packs of 25. You can get a mixed pack with the printable for lights. So that's all available. I actually made sure that they had it in stock at Swing and asked them if they didn't have the 10 pack in stock, and I called them. I'm like, can you please put that in stock so I can do this Facebook Live? So that's available as well. So what we're gonna do next is grab our shirt, and again, because I put the offset around it and my design became a solid piece, I'm gonna be able to pick it up. If you had all separate pieces on here, you would need to use a type of mask. Not the type of mask that we're all used to over the last year, but it's essentially the clear transfer that comes on your HTV. You need to use a sheet of that. You can even use an old sheet from a piece of HTV that you've already weeded, but you would need to use that to pick your design up and transfer. Now, before I take this out of my machine, I like to make sure that it has cut. So this is you are looking for a kiss cut here like you would a sticker, okay? So it's 2 layers. So I like to do that, and that has shown me that it has cut through, and now I am safe to remove this. I'm gonna get my computer out of the way here so we have some room. Okay, so now I'm just removing this, okay? And hopefully now you can see why that border is so important, because now I don't have any chance of having a white edge around my design itself because I have created that bleed on the sheet itself. All right, now this is where I was talking about if this was all separate pieces, you would mask it with a clear piece and pull it up. Because this is solid, I'm just going to pull it off of here like a sticker. Just be careful. The ink can, you can scratch it. So I am just gonna carefully, let's see. Just get under there a little bit and then pull it carefully. You're gonna kind of pull. Okay. All right, so now I have my design cut, printed, cut, and everything. Now, again, if you're looking for this design, I threw the link up top. It's from the May bundle on So Fontsy. It's meant to be a sublimation design or something like that, but clearly you can use it for HTV. You can use it for printable HTV. Okay, so now all I need to do is apply this to my shirt. So I'm going to move you over to my heat press so you can see that part too. All right, and again, we are at 350 degrees for 30 seconds with medium pressure. And we know what medium pressure is because if we can close our heat press and it requires a little bit of oomph, that's medium. If we can close it like real easy and still talk at the same time, that's light. And if we have to call for backup, that's firm pressure, okay? All right. So I've got my pressing pillow. I'm going to place my shirt on here. Can you see? Hopefully you can see. Okay. Now, I'm not even going to try to measure for the middle because there's a V on that shirt, and this little butterfly helps me out by having an exact middle. So I'm just going to place that on here. Okay. And then I'm going to cover with a Teflon sheet, okay? The pressing pillow is important because on sweatshirts specifically, the same thing with tote bags, you've got thick seams, okay? Someone's asking, is this recorded? Yes, this is recorded. It will be available for you to play back the whole thing on Facebook. It also goes to my YouTube channel in the next day or so, okay? All right, so here we go. 30 seconds. I do have to start the timer on this heat press because it's an 8-in-1, so it doesn't necessarily recognize that the top has been closed, all right? And this is all you have to do. So now when the pressing time is finished, it's over, it's done. You don't have to peel anything away, it's just done. So what you're creating with Printable Heat Transfer for darks is a decal that you are transferring on there. It's an alternative to HTV. It's an alternative to sublimation. It's an alternative to white toner transfers, okay? All right? Now, this has come out all completed, okay? What I want you to see, and hopefully you can see, is that it is, first of all, it's extremely thin. So let me see if I might be able to have to put my hand like in the shirt so you can kind of see, get a good showing. It's not, you can for sure feel it, okay? But look, you can hopefully see the grain of the shirt through there as I'm holding this up. It's kind of a super awkward angle of me, I apologize. But this can be washed. I would wait at least probably 72 hours, let it cure. But just keep in mind, the colors are going to be vibrant, they're gonna be bright. The quality is not going to be exactly the same. The washability is not going to be the same as what you would get with a printer that's, you know, 3, 4, 5, 10 times as much as the printer that you have there, okay? So you will get a great result, and I'm gonna give this to Olivia or just wear it myself. But these are super cute for like on-trend designs or holiday type stuff that you're not wearing a ton. People ask me all the time, how does it wash? And it's like, I don't throw the shirts and stuff that I make in my wash, you know, 15 times in a row, really. I just wash my stuff as I normally do. So I was counting, I made a shirt, I don't know, 2 months ago, and I've worn it 5 times since. So it's been laundered 5 times and it's fine. So, I mean, I don't know, I just wash like normal people. I do my laundry once a week. So anyway, this can be laundered. I would throw it inside out if you're going to put it in the wash, and I would hang dry if you can remember to do so. Okay? All right, you guys, so everything that you're looking for is up top. The links for the printable heat transfer, the links for the heat press, the blog post on the written tutorial, I think that was everything. The blade, the 1mm blade, that's the alternative to the auto blade. Everything like that is up top. You can watch this back. You can, you know, go over to our YouTube and watch it there as well. If you do, I'd love for you to subscribe. But I hope that you enjoyed this, and if you want to see, the reason I get questions about this all the time, why don't you do the software part as well? It is extremely difficult for me to do software tutorials along with the, you know, cutting part of this on a Facebook Live. I reserve that type of stuff for pre-recorded videos, and we save those exclusively for Silhouette You. So if you're interested in that, the software type of stuff, along with the full start to finish project, you might want to check out Silhouette You. Okay, guys, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week, and I'll see you soon.